You're listening to Tabletop Arcanum, a podcast dedicated to learning and exploring the hobby of tabletop gaming. Your hosts are Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, so sit back and relax as we talk, discuss, and joke our way through the hobby we love so much.
The ritual is nearly complete. The unspeakable old ones will enter our world. You can't stop it. You have to destroy them. An ancient apocalyptic cult has nearly summoned a great old one into our world. Its devastating arrival is imminent. Now what? Cthulhu, Death May Die, is an action-packed cooperative board game for 1 to 5 players. To defeat the eldritch horrors from out of space and time, you must embrace madness and work together. You'll need to uncover and solve the mysteries of up to 6 different episodic stories, using your unique combinations of skills and insanities, fighting a wide array of terrible monsters from across the mythos. Then, you must disrupt the ritual just long enough to make the Elder One vulnerable, and kill it. Dead. It's probably a one-way trip, but you're up for it. Right? Welcome to Tabletop Arcanum. We're your hosts,
Justin.
And Ricky. And,
as you heard, today's episode, Death May Die. Brand new game was kickstarted from Kaman, or Simon, depending on how you want to say it these days.
depending on what
they're thinking. Kaman is their new way of saying it, but I always call it Simon, or Cool Mini or not. Either way. But this hit retail right before the holidays, and the Kickstarter's got it slightly before that. And this is where I got like the giant baby Cthulhu miniature, because it's technically one of the epic scenarios that you can play. So might as well start doing a review on it and talk about this thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
But first, roll recapping.
Well, Justin was kind enough to buy me and my girlfriend a new Harry Potter game, so no longer will I be playing just Hogwarts Battle. I'm also going to be playing Death Eater Rising, and we played quite a bit of it. The first game we did really well at, and now she just doesn't understand that that's not how the game normally goes, so we're trying to beat it again. But with Christmas and everything else, it's been hard to break away and play some board games. My family aren't big board gamers, and yeah, everyone I really hung out with over the past 2 weeks.
Boy, do I have an opposite tale for you. So it's really funny in that sense, because I used some strategic PTO from work, so I pretty much have been off almost like 2 weeks here, and I've been doing almost nothing but watching movies and playing board games and some video games, but mostly a lot of board gaming. So much so, in the last 2 weeks, played a couple sessions of Gloomhaven, kept that going. Played Ghost Stories, got handed in Ghost Stories. It's an excellent game, but it is one of the toughest co-ops I know that's out there. And then we had I kind of hosted a bachelor-ish party, where the groom wanted to essentially just hang out, play board games, drink beers. So we hung out, played board games, drank beers. Ended up playing, introducing him to Suro Phoenix Rising, because he's a big fan of the original Suro, so I wanted to show him not Suro of the Seas, but what I felt was a better evolution of the game. We played Red Dragon Inn, which I hadn't played in a long time, because one of the Bachelor Party members was kind enough to bring his set, which actually had a lot of expansions, which I haven't seen yet. So that was fun. Played some simple card games like Six Nimit, which was a Eschenspiel winner from like mid-90s. It feels like a mid-90s card game, and it feels like it's the board games were not in this big resurgence yet in the 90s, so it feels like, that's what would be a winner game. It's fun, but it's definitely not what games are like anymore. And then became my other colleagues that were in the Pandemic Season 2 with me for Pandemic Legacy, we had some free days over the holidays, so we played a lot of Pandemic Season 2. We're about halfway through it now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We got together on Monday, we played 3 sessions on that. We started playing Death May Die to get myself familiar with the game and get a lot of reps on it. And then I would occasionally cluster myself into the basement and play Death May Die and Arkham Horror. So there's a lot of that in there. We also played and tried out Mystery House, a new twist on escape room game. Scenario based, but you have like the slotted house, and all these cards go into it, and you can only look through the sides of the box to see what's on those cards. Some of them are a little bit shaded and dark, so you have to like get a flashlight and look in and peer around corners. It's really neat. And then it's app driven to tell you like, hey, I want to take a look at what's on this coordinates on this card, and like, oh, there's a scroll. What's a scroll? And then it'll give you flavor text on it. Or maybe it'll give you an item, because like, oh, that's a magic sword. You now have a magic sword. Cool. Then we played more Pandemic Season 2. That was a second round of 5 sessions. Season 2 for the Legacy is interesting, because it's a very reverse Pandemic. You're trying to make sure things don't go bad. Because if you run out of supply cubes, then plague shows up, and you have no way of removing the plague cubes, opposed to curable diseases. You're actually just trying to prevent the diseases from even spawning. So it's neat that way. Then Forbidden Sky, played a couple rounds of that. Took us a while to get the strategy behind that one. It's pretty tough having to build the network that's involved there. More Arkham Horror, and more Death May Die. So I've been busy.
Non-stop.
Been busy.
This is also your first holiday season not working somewhere where the holiday season specifically is the busy season.
Correct.
So it's been nice.
Correct.
I know you've gotten a little time off and you've just loved it, whereas the rest of us schlubs are.
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
It all depends on what industry you're in. I got out of retail to get into a desk job, which then ended up being holiday season was the busy season for that too, and year end was the thing. And now I'm in a field that quarters, the start of every quarter. So like next week things are going to get a little crazy, but not right now. Speaking of right now, it is right before New Year's, so end of 2019, going into 2020. New you, new year, new decade. Roaring 20s are back, so I guess Death May Die thematically made sense too for that. But we had our 2019 challenges. I guess because we only have like 2 days left, 1 day left.
Well, we
while recording, this will come out after.
Yeah.
No, we have one today, tomorrow, and that's it. And then it's the first. Yeah. And then this will come out like a day after that. No, 2 days after that.
On the 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, on the 3rd. So yeah. We're talking to you from the past decade. Weird. Hello, future people.
It's nice.
Okay.
It's nice.
But
I don't have 2020 vision.
You will in 2 days.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So, I had 3 challenges. I don't remember what you had, though.
I had 3 challenges.
Okay, so new games. I set myself to play 50 new games this year.
50?
50 new, unique games. Hadn't played them before. Crushed it.
What were you sitting at?
I got that right after Gen Con, to be honest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, pretty much August, the first week of August, I was done with that challenge. I had played 50 new games by August. So, I will probably do that again next year, because I'm always trying to cultivate new things.
Well, I had a similar with you. Well, actually, I did all the same challenges as you, just significantly less. I had 40 new games. I had 27. A little disappointing. I feel like I may have missed some in there somewhere because
you gotta get good at the
that's my problem. Yeah, writing it down.
Play even more games. So I had last year. If we had on our recap, we had I played over 250 games last year. Mm-hmm. This year I set myself to 350. Mm-hmm. I did that as of yesterday.
Well, congratulations.
I don't know if I'm going to set 350 because that's almost like literally like this pretty much
it's
like a game a day.
Mm-hmm.
And without like marathoning sessions like the pandemic in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I was going to
like
miss that huge.
You got up to that because of your PTO, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I probably got that challenge based on the last 2 weeks by about between 10 and 20 games in the last 2 weeks. So that alone saved my bacon. And it was I was keeping track. It was like I would be ahead, and then I wouldn't play games for like a week or something, like life and stuff, or whatever would happen, and then like I'd fall behind, and then I had to catch up. And so I think I'm going to dial that back next year. I think 300. It will keep me consistent, and I will definitely. It's a goal I can hit, but it will keep me honest to making sure I hit it.
Mine was set at 150, came in at 103.
103.
So not bad for my first year trying it, because it's a game every 3 to 4 days. Not bad.
Yeah, that's about. And I would probably every.
But those are rookie numbers.
Yeah,
we gotta get those numbers up.
You gotta pump those numbers up.
Yeah, there you go.
I think you should do another 150 for next year.
I'm gonna definitely do 150.
I think you could repeat that one,
especially because now that I have my own place and I have all my games with me at my place at all times.
There we go.
Yeah.
So the 10x10. This is the one that screwed me up last year. I got to about 70%. Because I got about 70 games played. I came in at 60% this year. I missed it again. Technically, because we were starting to get burnt out in Pandemic Season 2. Well, we started it last October, and then Betrayal Legacy came out. We played the heck out of that. And then Pandemic Season 2 kind of fell to the wayside, and only in the last 2 weeks we got back to it. So I played like 8 games of that. I didn't get 10 games in.
Oh.
So I got 8 out of 10 there. I got my 10 plays of Arkham Horror. I got my 10 plays of Gloomhaven, because I've been talking about that all year. Due to the campaign I did with Scythe for Rise of Fenris, I got my 10 games of Scythe in, which is why Scythe was on the list. And then because of Sentinels of the Multiverse, getting like the big box,
big black box,
everything I wanted to make sure I got some reps of that. Got my 10 reps at least of that. I think I actually got even more than 10, but then I did not get a Gen 7 game completed this year, so I missed that one. I got a couple games of Cthulhu Wars, but not 10 of them. I did get my Warhammer Blackstone Fortress. I got some reps on that one too.
Yeah, you played that. I was really supposed to play that with you, and then life happened. Yeah, exactly.
You moved, got busy. I did not get Rising Sun or Charterstone to the table this year at all.
Yeah.
I tried, but did not.
I got 33 between Arkham Horror, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, and then Ticket to Ride were my 3 that I got 10 out of 10.
Okay.
We had originally talked, and this is a year ago, me and you talked about doing Charterstone, Pandemic, and Warhammer Quest together, and we just never got together for that. That's
nope.
Yeah, those are big ones. Keyforge, I thought 2019 was going to be the Keyforge year for me, and then I fell off the wagon. Decided not to keep buying decks, stuff like that.
I still find it as a nice casual game, but I definitely cannot play competitively. I know a couple guys who do, and they're really good, and I've played against them, and I can tell like they play at that skill level.
Yeah.
It's not the game for me like I thought it would be for that. So agreed.
Yeah. Honestly, what I like to do is go and buy a pack and play against someone who just bought a pack, and that's fun, but that just isn't cost effective.
No.
I can't just keep buying packs anytime I want to play a game.
Right.
I had Mailborn because that was one of my mom's
Family
favorite
games.
Yeah. So just didn't get that on the table. Same thing with Star Wars Armada and Star Wars Legion. I had a lot of high hopes for that. Again, I moved, so I mean, right now all of my stuff is still in boxes.
Yeah.
So I haven't set up my paint station yet. I haven't been able to do anything with that yet, but I'm hoping 2020 is going to be the year. I'm going to do another 10 by 10 next year. I think I'm going to think harder about what games I'm going to put on there.
See, I think I'm going to stop the 10 by 10.
You don't want to keep playing the same 10 games over and over again?
I move between groups and I play a lot of variance things. So I think what I'm actually going to do is going to do 20 by 5.
That's good.
20 titles, 5 times each. I think I think I'll be able to manage that a little bit better. I tried to strategically put campaign games. So if I played a full thing of Charterstone, well, there's my 10 out of 10 because it does 12 games. Same thing with Pandemic, Legacy. You have to play a minimum 12 games of that.
Yeah.
You can go up to 24 if you just lose every single freaking game. But to complete the campaign, you're officially playing that much. Gloomhaven's like that. That's why I put a lot of those campaigny games on there. It just takes a lot of coordination and effort.
Yeah, and if you're not playing it every week or every month or something like that, then it's hey, rough. We have to plan
power through sessions.
A Saturday, and we have to play from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m., and even that is not going to get us there. So
yeah. So I think that's where I'm going to kind of look at things tomorrow. Before the new year, and on our next episode, I'll announce my official challenges. I might even tweet them out just to put them out there on the socials.
Yeah,
because that is one of the. I think. Let's talk about that. Tabletop Arcanum's 2020 resolutions.
Yeah.
What are we doing next year? Sticking to reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Going to do more reviews. We're actually recording today on some brand new mics and brand new equipment. So, do us a favor. Drop us a line either through the tabletop.arcanum@gmail.com email, at Tabletop Arcanum through the Twitter, or Instagram, or at the Tabletop Arcanum Facebook page.
YouTube. Just about anywhere you can think of typing Tabletop Arcanum, we're there. And you can definitely hit us up anytime. So,
definitely hit us up. And since you're the end user, our audience, what do you think of the new mics and the setup? If we need to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments. I think we're doing. It's going to take a couple times to truly dial it in.
Yeah.
When you do new equipment changes like that. So yay to that. Yeah. What else? What else are we going to do? More social.
We also did just celebrate our 2000th download.
Yeah.
So, it took us almost a year to get up to 1,000, and then only a few months after that to get to 2,000.
Yeah.
So, it's been nice.
Keep pumping those numbers.
Yeah.
And then
we do eventually want to do some videos. We're still trying to working out the kinks and all that.
Logistics.
We appreciate all of you listening because this is a very visual medium that we're describing to you every other week. So
maybe you'll be able to see some of this sooner than later. 2020.
Yeah.
Video. Something. We gotta do something.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Anything else?
More games. More games.
Yeah, of course, more games. So, any big games on the horizon that it's like, oh my god.
For me right now?
Yeah, what's a future game in your brain that, you want?
I've known I shared a few with you, and I can't think of any right now that I'm just I need to get this in my hands right now.
Okay. So, I've got a few I'm excited for in 2020. ISS Vanguard, which is the new upcoming Awakened Realms like sci-fi game. So Nemesis, I love that they did.
Yeah.
They just pumped out for Kickstarter backers Tainted Grail, which is dark fantasy, gritty, awesome. But with that, they were advertising and pushing that their next campaign is going to have... they just finished Great Wall, but the next campaign is going to be the Vanguard, which is going to be in 2020. Eric Ling, conveniently, Death May Die designer, has his capstone of trilogy, Ankh, coming up, Egyptian Gods.
Yeah.
So we had Blood Rage, which is Viking. We had Rising Sun, which was Asian, for the most part. And now we're going to have Kemetic mythology coming in with Ankh. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm kind of interested in seeing on where Marvel Champions goes to. They were able to get out a little ahead of schedule and a little bit of shot in the arm. The Captain America, Miss Marvel, and Green Goblin packs right before Christmas this year. I'm extremely excited to see what a regular flow starts looking like of getting a pack a month. So let's get Thor out there. Let's get the Wrecking Crew. Let's get whatever's after all that. Let's get this stuff going.
Yeah.
I think those are like my top things I'm personally excited for. New Gloomhaven is going to be neat. I still have to get through regular Gloomhaven. So,
man,
you got anything on the docket? Maybe some Darkside Rising if it ever comes stateside.
It'll never come stateside, and that's what drives.
Don't say never. It can happen. Just don't have your hopes up.
Yeah, it's all licensing. So I mean, we have Fantasy Flight who owns the licensing for games for Star Wars versus the app who owns it in the UK. And
right, it's going to be a weird IP battle, and we'll see how it turns out. Maybe they'll make it work. We'll see.
I do want to play. I know it's a skin, but the Kingdom Hearts Talisman. I mean, from what we saw at Gen Con, those figures, or those minis were
figures,
beautiful.
The pawns actually look amazing.
Yeah.
They've been casting those on their, I think I've been seeing them coming across on Facebook. Like, just all the different characters they did and all the different sculpts they did. Yeah, there's some cool stuff going on with there. So
I'm always excited for Cyberpunk 2077, Cyberpunk Red, everything that's going to go along with that. I want to get an actual
the
core
year of
book.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming out. It's when you initially said I thought you meant new games coming out. There's a lot of games that I still have a lot of hype for. I would still be
that are already like here.
Yeah. I would be buying.
I'm forward looking.
Yeah. And there's
always a backlog. That is one of my resolutions this year.
Get through your backlog?
No shelf of shame anymore. I'm clearing it out this year.
Okay,
100%. If I haven't played it and it's in my house, why is it here?
I'll join you on that because I have a lot of games that I just keep picking up.
I am not talking about video games. That's a backlog that I cannot do.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And it's funny because
Board
I
games.
just...
one thing at a time.
I just got a new laptop, and the one thing I found out after buying this laptop is apparently sometime within the last, 3 years, I bought a digital board game Humble Bundle.
Oh.
So I have, a ton of board games on my PC now.
Nice.
And I'm like...
Also, keep an eye open for Tabletop Simulator and things like that. That they'll go on sale through Steam all the time.
It's $10 right now, and I'm very tempted to pick it up because I really want to play it. But
there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, but no, downloading all these games or downloading stuff onto my laptop, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I've got 200-300 games here sitting ready to be played that have never been touched.
I specifically ignore that Steam exists during their sales because of that.
Yeah.
So that's resolutions. We've talked about a roll recap. You brought up
wait, you need to stop and you need to tell me what's up with this piece of wood sitting in front of me.
I was working towards that.
Well, stop what you're working towards and tell me about this wood.
Wow. Well, zip, thump.
Oh my.
It's my. I put it on our socials. It is the Master Monk Nomad Armory. That showed up. I pre-ordered it through Gen Con because I missed their Kickstarter, and I didn't actually know about it until Gen Con. I saw it there. Talked with Max and TJ while at Gen Con. One, they're awesome guys, very personable, great. I love seeing them on the con scene, and they're going to try and hit more. So if you actually go to a con, look up Master Monk Gaming. They should be there, or they're going to try to be there. Their product is amazing. So long while back, Wormwood came out with like high quality exotic woods, dice trays, dice box or card deck boxes. Then they started doing like dice vaults and character vaults, and they still do all that. So Master Monk is doing that too. They're just a different company. There is the Nomad's Armory itself is a complete RPG on the go system. So you get everything can be bought separate, but you have a magnetic dice tray that is maybe 8 inches by 8 inches. Like, it's not huge. It doesn't take up a lot of table space. Whole thing snaps together. Magnetically holds it together. Boom, you're done. Now I have a place to roll my dice without having to like fly all over the table. The lid holds a pen, pencil. Also, it comes with a nice stainless steel piece of metal, which metal, magnetic. This can stick to your dice box. You can actually write on it with a wet erase marker. So if you want to put your character name, your current AC, your current hit points. If I'm the DM, I can put it on the dice tower, which I'm going to get to next. Maybe put initiatives on there. It's a blank piece of metal. Do what you want with it. Maybe not eat it. Or hit. And I would probably not hit people with it. But then moving on, you have a dice box, a magnetic dice box, with a couple different options on it. But you can store your dice, you can store your mini. The mini's not really good fitting in there because the bases are bigger than the box holding itself, so there's a little bit of an issue there. But I can hold about 2.5 sets worth of D&D dice. Which is usually what you need. Honestly, depending on what type of character you're playing, like I would load this differently if I was playing a fighter versus a wizard. You know, I would probably put a little more D6s if I knew I had some fireball action going on. Then there's the dice tower itself. Again, magnetic. It comes in a bunch of different pieces. They are inscribed with kind of a cheat sheet of how to plug it all together. So on the sides of the tower, they're labeled A, B, C. You find the A pieces, you slap them together, you put the C pieces together, and all of a sudden, the whole thing is slotted, and you've got it ready to go. And it just slots right against the dice tray itself.
It's got a cutout so it sits right on the dice tray.
And then you drop your dice right down on it. They get the good roll on there, especially things like the D4, which I've always felt like unless you get it like on a point, it doesn't really roll.
Yeah,
and more just kind of flops and probably is whatever you dropped it at. I was using this when I was playing Arkham Horror. It was great.
Yeah,
just drop a bunch of D6s, count my successes, move on. But the whole thing collapses down because the dice tray is the outer shell. So the whole thing collapses down to 8 inches by maybe 6 inches high, by about maybe 3 inches, 4 inches deep. And it stores everything you need for a game other than like your character sheet.
Yeah.
Which now with things like D&D Beyond, you can have your sheet digital, and you don't even need this part. So it's fantastic. Definitely a little bit on the pricier side if you go with the more exotic woods. They do go into all things like goblin walnuts, bloodwood, ebony, things of that nature. But they're on the slightly more affordable side. It's still good craftsmanship, but you can still get like your walnut and your cherry and your oak, and those are still on the, it's all spectrum. really, at that point, is how much do you want to spend and what type of wood do you like, because it's pretty.
It is very pretty. It's very, very pretty.
Kudos to Master Monk Gaming for this. This was not something that they gave us at the podcast or anything like that. This was just something I saw, talked to them, and went, man, that's an awesome product, and I want one.
Yeah.
And I ordered one, and it showed up right before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to me. I now have a portable gaming system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big thing I was going to walk into. That is one of those recent acquisitions. That, this thing's gorgeous. Definitely go onto the Twitter or Facebook. I put them up on those for sure, because it's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, let's, we've been dawdling. We did a review. We did all of our recap, our resolutions. Let's go into Death May Die before people tune out here.
Oh, yeah, we played a game.
Yeah, we played a game.
That's right.
Death May Die. So, Rob Daviau. Daviau? Probably butchering that name.
And Eric Lang. Yeah. First impressions, when you open this box, how did you feel about it?
My first impressions when I heard about this game is, why do I need another Manchester Madness game? Because it looks like you're moving minis on the tiles, and you're rolling dice to defeat your various Cthulhu Mythos monsters.
But boy, were you wrong.
Well,
mostly.
I was about half wrong.
Yeah.
Everything I said is true. It's tile-based, it's scenario-based, just like Manchester Madness. It's co-op like Manchester Madness. It goes up to 5 players like Manchester Madness. One big difference, this is about a 90-minute game compared to 90 to 320 minutes. Like, there's such a range on Manchester Madness because the scenarios vary. This doesn't. It's very clean. It's very quick. The other thing is, this doesn't give you as much narrative, and it streamlines you to the action. So, first impressions from that perspective was, I thought I was getting another Manchester Madness game, and then I looked more into it and went, no, it's different enough. Let me get into this and buy in. And the more I read, the more I got excited for it.
It was the Cthulhu mini that made you excited, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's my Tyler that I never knew I needed. Sitting next to my Beholder that I never knew I needed.
Yeah.
Sitting next to my Dracus plushie, which I knew I needed.
I mean, the one thing I will say is, first impression of this games, these minis are...
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
But I had the same impression from Rising Sun. So I knew that going in for sure. Did not disappoint. They're still pretty minis. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of cool detail to them. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So the other first impression when opening this box was everything kind of kept itself isolated and self-contained. So all the minis have their trays, and there's a band that goes around them. That keeps them organized. The ancient ones or elder ones, they're in little boxes. The minis and cards and tokens that are associated with those all fit in those little boxes. Each episode scenario, there's 6 in the core box, are self-contained. They hold all the cards that you need and tokens you need for each episode within those little boxes. And all those little boxes fit in the large box very well.
Yeah.
Except for those map tiles.
Those map tiles. That's what I was going to say.
Character sheets, what they are, but those map tiles are just chaos.
You lay the paper on top and everything's fine. The manual, everything like that. Player cards, yeah, okay. Yeah, but those tiles, man, they get me every time.
Right.
Because once you pull those tiles off the top, you look at it and everything is just... It belongs. Very aesthetically pleasing looking at it because everything is right where it needs to be. Everything is like worked out to fill up the entire box.
Right. So this is a Kickstarter. We're going to be primarily talking about the core game and not really reviewing the Kickstarter stuff. If you buy this at retail, the core box is out there. What was the MSRP on this one?
It looked like it was $100.
Okay.
It does look like it's gaming shops you can find for $80. So you're getting that kind of range.
So that's out there. Some of the extra ancient ones like Yogg-Sothoth and Black Goat of the Woods are also available already. You get Hastur and Cthulhu in the box, and you get 6 episodes in this box. And how you play the game is you take one of the episodes that you're going to play, that's your scenario, and then one ancient one, you smash them together. So you could play each episode with a different ancient one, and I have, because I wanted to see how different it was. It's different. It actually feels different. The game shifts a little bit based on that, which is very, very good. And the biggest thing I think that does that is not only each ancient one comes with one or two, not to one or two. Their cultists are all different a little bit. But the other thing is they all have a unique monster assigned to that ancient one. So that helps. And the Mythos cards, you get each ancient one comes with 8 Mythos cards, and each scenario comes with 8 Mythos cards, and you create a 16-card deck based on those two. Because it's a 50-50 split, half of your Mythos deck is based on those two choices.
Yeah.
So
it was a real cool experience to see like just the two smashed up, and I mean, you definitely get a feel of, okay, this is definitely that card, that is definitely from this scenario.
Right, and based on what those cards were activating, you can, without even looking at it, you can tell, like, okay, this is definitely a Hastur card, because we're dealing with his stuff. But then my next turn, we're dealing with scenario stuff, because it's a 50-50 split in the deck, which was very, very good. Lot of characters.
Yeah, almost too many characters.
Well, when you start getting all the other stuff, yes. Core box, I think, is a lot of characters, but there's a lot of different characters because there's melee-based ones, there's range-based ones. There's so you get a different flavor. The Arkham games do the same thing, where there's almost twice the number of characters that you can normally play with in it. That helps. All of that really enhances your replayability because depending on what characters you're picking versus your scenario versus your Elder God, those are all pieces that are working together to make this game work. So, that being said, if you buy this at retail, that's what you're getting out of the box. The things that you're missing out on, if you have that FOMO, fear of missing out situation, is kind of the stretch goal box. Backers got Yogg-Sothoth included. They didn't have to get them separate. There was another ancient one that was included in there. And then, kind of the other thing was three scenarios and a bunch of different characters, 18 new player characters. Most of that is supposedly coming out, so you should be able to get some of that with the Unspeakable box. There is one character called Scarlet, who she was Kickstarter only exclusive. And there was dice, frosted dice, frosted marble dice that were truly exclusive. So they're doing a good job of if you were a backer, you kind of got everything at once, which was really nice to have and also overwhelming to have. The rest of it is coming. It might be a little bit as they wave more stuff out.
Yeah.
There's going to be a Season 2 box that has 6 more episodes. And a bunch of extra characters in it too. So lots. Once you have everything, you've got a lot of replayability. So that's a good thing. I will say that. What I think will be missing out on people is the Big Baby Cthulhu, which is a special epic scenario. It's cool. I don't think you're really missing out if you don't get it.
It's a $200 one shot. So, I mean...
Right. If you look at it from a dollars to donuts situation, it's a lot of money for a one-shot.
It's a cool one-shot. I mean, we're looking at the mini right now.
Oh, we'll play it a few times.
Yeah.
But, so, that being said, rules are pretty straightforward. On your character sheet is of like all the rules and all the things that you ever need are like right there in front of you at all times. The only thing that isn't really in there is a detailed explanation of the end of turn effects, which is like kind of like 4 sub-steps. But the back of the manual has that, so once you run through it once or twice as you play, you kind of remember it all. But you get 3 actions a round. You can move, you can attack something, you can rest as long as you're not with monsters. And then you can usually do, each scenario will give you extra scenario-specific actions too. So if there's fire, like scenario 1 deals with fire, so one of your actions is putting out fire. You're also trying to destroy lab equipment, so you have a destroy lab equipment option too. One of the scenarios we played was working with like masked partygoers and trying to find the secret cultists with them. So we had to like our scenarios actions were based on that.
Investigate or interrogate, and then
separate.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you do a Mythos card, which is kind of the book. It's like most co-op games. It's kind of what the board and the monsters get to do. And then whether you have monsters in your space or not is whether you get a discovery card, which is usually finding items or people or situational stuff that's going to help you in the scenario, or you're in a space with monsters and that's their turn to get to attack you. It's all dice-based. You get to roll the dice against you. There's 3 automatic black dice, and depending on the monster, they have different dice pools. You might get bonus dice versus skills or abilities or upgrades that you've gotten. And you have a way, a stress meter, which allows you to burn a stress and to get a die reroll. And that's whether any check that you're making or making against you. So lots of fun little twists and turns of how, yes, it's just rolling dice, but you have a lot of ways to manipulate those dice too, available to you usually. So it does a lot of good things there.
Yeah.
Keeps it fast, keeps it simple, keeps it action-packed.
Yeah, and I think when we were talking about it, when I originally opened the box, I said this is a lot. Like, it looks extremely complicated.
And then
but it is, like, so simplified the moment that you threw everything down on the board. It's just like, no, okay, well, this card will show you how to set everything up.
Yep.
All right, these are your actions. These are your dice. Just do it. And it was.
Your goal is to, the scenario will tell you how to disrupt the ritual that the cultists are doing. Because all scenarios are basically that. Like, XYZ cult is doing this ritual. If you do this, it will stop the ritual. By stopping the ritual, the Ancient One will show up. Then you have to beat him up. And that's where I say this game has that action-y, pulpy feel. It's a lot more in your face. It reminds me of almost like Arkham Horror 2nd Edition board game, where you square off and you do that Ancient One battle. The Fantasy Flight line has kind of gotten away from that. They still do very action-y, but they've gotten away from that as far as like the big climactic battles. This is that battles. If you're missing that from the Fantasy Flight games, Death May Die has that for you. So that's things it does well. What else does it do well?
I mean, it does make you feel like you're in control, like, throughout the majority of the game. And for people that want to plan stuff out, I mean, we had what is it? When the sanity thing, where once you hit number 5, it triggers. I had
The sanity track.
Sandy track, but I had OCD, and you had the one where you run around
psychotic episodes where whenever mine triggered, I would move to the closest figure and then do 2 damage to everything that's in that space. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. It's a very simplified game, but it's also complex at the same time.
Right.
Where we would play to each other's weaknesses, because I would know, okay, well, if you...
I'm about to go crazy and snap and then punch everything around me, so you not want to be in my space when I do that.
You'd be like 1 sandy away, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to run clear across the board and go fight those things.
And be further away than anything else.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
So it's good for that. You're right. It absolutely allows you to stay in control, or at least have you feel like you're in control.
Because
most of the things that it does are relatively predictable once you've seen the scenario unfold a little bit.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, I'm going to keep comparing it back to Mansions because it's probably the most similar to this. There's a lot of stuff in Mansions that it's going to blindside you. The mystery and the element of surprise is cool if you want that. But if that's something that bothers you in a game and you want more control of the situation, this is going to be better for you.
And this can be a pro or it can be a con depending on who you are.
Absolutely.
Well, there's no oh crap moment. Where you're going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, because you're trying to, like, there's no, like, existential dread coming at you during the game.
Unless everything moved onto your space and you have to defeat, like, or survive, like, 4 attacks or 5 attacks.
We had that happen, and it was like, okay, we'll just keep
I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, you almost didn't make it, but then I ran away.
Right.
And then you lost one sanity, and then you killed everything on that space.
Correct. There are ways to do it, but, like, if the dice, I ran out of rerolls, if the dice just fell the wrong way, I was toast.
Yeah.
And that would have been just how it is. Things that it doesn't do well. Let's talk about some of the cons on this one, because as we always talk about in reviews, we want to show the good and the bad. Every game's going to have good and bad elements to it. As a Lovecraft and Mythos fan, it
doesn't have flavor.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you know the Mythos, like, you can kind of interject your own flavor mentally into it, but on a lot of things, it's pretty on the dry side. It's also not very horror-driven. It's very action. If you go back and go to the source material and you go to the Mythos stuff, like, just seeing these things makes you go crazy, and going crazy isn't good. This game rewards you for going crazy because while you have your psychosis and sanity that will trigger, it's also how you level up your skills, which you want.
Yeah, and you know, that's honestly where my first playthrough...
You were worried about it.
Yeah, I was worried about
my first playthrough, I was very worried. I was like, let me go crazy. Let's do this.
Well, I didn't go crazy at all. Like, I purposely, like, because I had...
OCD.
No, it wasn't... Well, I had OCD, so, I mean, my character had OCD, so if I hit, like, every 5 I hit on the insanity track, I would have to even out, sheet. My items. But I was worried about hitting that just because I didn't want to, as any game I really play, I want to keep my health, my everything up as much as I can, so I don't run into that issue down the line.
It's a track you want to go down in a controlled manner.
Yeah.
And if you actually watched what I did while we played, I made sure I hit those thresholds to get some of the bonuses. But I was about halfway when we broke the ritual still.
Yeah.
I wasn't all the way down, and what's nice about those threshold stops is they are stops. Like, if you lose 4 sanity, but you're 2 away from the threshold, you're only going to lose 2. So, while playing it a bunch of times in a row with different scenarios, different characters, that's something I picked up as a learned skill of riding that line of craziness is part of the game mechanics.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun game mechanic. I just don't think it's Mythos.
I think it's an interesting game mechanic.
It powers you up.
Yeah.
If it hurt you more as you went along, it got crazier. Then I would see it being more in theme.
Exactly.
I don't think insanity should be a power up.
Yeah.
But it is.
I mean, I was playing,
and I'll abuse it because it's a co-op game. I've got to use all the wheelhouse tools to make sure we win. But I think that's what bothers me about it is it doesn't feel Lovecraftian because you're almost rewarding people for going crazy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, that's the flavor that they're going for. They got it. I just think it's a miss on the Lovecraft side.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of dread that your insanity was going to drain out in
and
turn.
And then all of a sudden, like in one turn, I'm going to go crazy, and then start attacking you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you had the plastic
right
set.
So in the Unspeakable box, which was kind of where all the stretch goals and extra stuff got shoved in for backers, which should most of it should be coming out to retail in some form. Most of that, there was these cardboard or plastic shells that you could put your character sheet into, which then had little notches for the tracker tokens that you're using on the sheet. Keeps it a little bit nicer. If you've played Terraforming Mars before, that's kind of what you're working with, is a cardstock piece of character sheet with tokens all over it, like 6 tokens all over it, with nothing holding them where they are. This made it a little bit easier to manage that.
Yeah.
It's a nice upgrade. It would be nice if it was in the core box, but
yeah,
you can play the game without it too.
Yeah.
It doesn't break anything. It just makes you be careful. Don't bump your character sheet, sort of situation.
Yeah. The tracking tokens are tiny, and especially on like that insanity track. I mean, it's a long track, so you could accidentally knock it over and become more insane than you meant to, or
true.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think Death May Die has a niche for that action pulpy, like let's kill big bad monsters feeling.
Yeah. I would definitely suggest it for someone who wants a quick Cthulhu themed game, not necessarily like an H.P. Lovecraftian heavy game, but just something that you want to see the monsters, you want to see just a fun, quick game.
Yeah. Quick-ish. 90 minutes.
Quick-ish compared to a lot of the other Lovecraftian games on the market.
Correct. And that's, I think, where it hits its niche, where, this is almost what I feel like Final Hour should have been in some capacity. Like, they could have probably cleaned this a little bit more, get it into that 60 to 90 minute window. Maybe like drop the ritual components down a little bit, and all of a sudden we have what Final Hour could have been.
Yeah.
With some flavor.
Yeah.
While keeping the action going. So, I think I would recommend this over Final Hour. If you want a quicker Lovecraft game that actually has some flavor to it. The downside is most of the characters are pretty generic, or there's like Rasputin or the Kid, or kind of like serial killer pop culture references.
Yeah, it was interesting going through there.
Yeah, it's a little all over the place.
Yeah, seeing where they wanted to go with everything. But yeah, I wouldn't suggest it for someone who's looking to get a deep, rich story out of it.
No, you're not going to get that.
Because it's literally, the story is, you're at a party, and that guy's there.
The ritualists are amongst the masked pertainers, and the partygoers will be the first sacrifice. Can you unmask them before they complete their ritual? Go.
Yeah. And, you get, like, small little text on the cards, but the discovery cards.
The discovery cards give you a little bit more flavor of what's going on, because during this one, the precursor did talk about, we're at a masked ball. There's dancers and revelers, and then there's also like animals and menagerie, and then we start discovering some animals through the discovery cards.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the one who discovered all the animals, and you discovered the
animal handler.
Animal handler, like,
who gave you the discount to get the animals.
Yeah, but like 90% through the game, so all of a sudden, like, you're pulling out cards like a flask, and I'm pulling out like gorilla
and monkey. And
it's tiger. A big gorilla, and I'm like, okay, well, I can get a gorilla right now.
Yeah, but that gorilla gave you 3 extra health points.
Yeah, it was a nice gorilla. And the tiger gave me more dice.
Yep. So, it's good for the quick-ish, medium-weight action. It's good for an action monster kicking the door, let's do this sort of situation. It's not good for a carefully crafted story narrative game that I've come to expect out of some of the like Mansions or the Arkham Horror card game.
Yeah.
So, pros and cons. If you are someone who doesn't like the horror elements and like are squeamish about the weird stuff, other than the minis looking like monstrous,
Looking pretty gnarly, yeah.
it really doesn't have like gore or horror elements attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's relatively light on all that sort of stuff. So it's
like,
a little bit more. Honestly, I almost say it's a little bit more kid friendly in that aspect.
Yeah, because
there's monsters.
There are games where they actually describe, the monster,
the black ichor viscously flows down its maws as it drips, and it reminds you of the time that you were a boy and were almost drowned in a pool.
Yeah, and this is just like they move into your square.
Okay,
and next part of your turn.
Now they
attack you. Yeah.
What do they attack you? Roll some dice. They'll either make you go crazy or they'll make you take some damage.
Yeah.
Straight up. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
So, it has pros and cons. It's a neat game. I'm glad I do have it. I think it's going to hit the table every once in a while for that quicker, let's just do something fun game. I know the big boy's going to hit the table a couple times because I know a lot of people are interested in just playing with that on the table. It's just going to be cool.
Yeah.
But that's more of a novelty. Core game, I think the core game's a beautiful piece, ready to go.
For me, someone like me, I might even just pick up the core box. I don't think I necessarily need to get the expansions.
I would get another Elder one.
Definitely an Elder one.
I would pick up the core box, and if you were looking for like one more expansion, I would pick up either the Black Goat or Yogg-Sothoth, because you have 6 things you can rotate through with the scenarios, and only 2 Elder Gods in the box. Getting that 3rd Elder God, now you have 6 times 3 options.
Yeah, that's fair.
So for bang for your dollar, I think an Elder God would be the next logical expansion to get. And then if you really want more, then get the Season 2 box, because you're getting more scenarios and then more characters to play with.
Yeah.
And more monsters.
Just to forewarn everyone, we did look into the Season 2 box, and it did not come with another
Ancient one. So
that Season 2 box is an expansion, is not a standalone. Make sure that if you pick up the core.
Right. It also needs the tiles from this, and
so it comes with a lot.
It almost looks like a full game.
Yeah.
Except for you need tokens, some map tiles, and definitely an ancient one to go with it.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I think it's pretty passable. It's not going to be for everybody. If you're, like I said, I've said it a couple times, if you're looking for an action-packed Mythos-themed game that isn't very heavy on the horror, this is it.
Yeah.
This was fun.
All right, so that was our review of Death May Die. Next week we are going to be talking about Wingspan. Caw.
It's like a year later, but...
yeah, we tried getting a copy earlier, and then there's the whole malarkey with it not being anywhere forever.
I got my copy pretty early.
Yeah, you did get your copy pretty early, but we're so far past then.
Other things happened. Gen Con happened. Other trips and events. Like, it just kind of kept being pushed to the wayside. Plus, we were doing the interviews and other things too, and not quite focused on reviews only. So now that we're more reviews only, we're going to get through them faster. So Wingspan, and we're also going to talk about the expansion for Wingspan, which also came out. So there's that.
Sounds good. Until next time, you'll be hearing this next year. So from the past, happy new year, new decade, all that fun stuff.
2020.
2020. We will come back at you with
Flappers, Prohibition, and
Yeah, it's all coming back. It's
all coming back. All right.
Until next time, make sure to get you guys' goals together. Let us know. And keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling. So this has been Justin.
And Ricky.
Thanks for listening. You've been listening to Tabletop Arcanum, hosted by Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, and featuring the original music by Paul Moore and Isaac Gilbert. You can follow us on most social media platforms. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. As always, thanks for listening.